Hi there, and welcome back to the Fuse Show. I'm your host, David Tran. I'm also the co-founder of Xfusion.io, and today I'm joined by Daren Trousdell. He's the chairman and CEO of NowVertical. He's a serial technology and digital media entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience founding and growing companies across data analytics, fintech, and media industries. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
So I've noticed that you've done a lot of things in the tech industry across a pretty wide variety of types of companies. What's your favorite part of it all?
Well, there's so much, and so much of it's fun and challenging, but my favorite part is I like to start and build things from the ground up. You get small team, big ideas, impossible challenges and tasks. And I think when you're, up against that, the best ideas and the best outcomes happen. And then, if all things come together, you end up having something special, and that moment is fun to be part of.
So how do you find ideas to pursue? Do you have more ideas than time, or do you have more time than ideas?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's ideas coming up in everyday life. When you're with your kids or when you're playing a sport or whatever, these ideas are coming to me at least. Things that should exist that don't exist. And then you research it for a minute and see, oh, there is something like that. That's cool, but it's not done the right way. I think a lot of these great ideas that, and these companies that are emerging today are born from that moment, solving people's problems. And I think that's the way I look at the world. What is a good solution to a big problem, and then you go down the rabbit hole, and you're not going to be where you thought, but you end up in a really cool spot usually, and it's fun to do.
Earlier you mentioned small team. Do you like to take the same small team between all the companies you work on, or do you assemble a new small team based on the niche?
I work with the same people for the most part. I have in a couple of projects I'm on now, I work with people I've worked with for over 10 years. So at the same time, I do always like introducing new people into the process, because that dynamic creates better outcomes and creates a better, a better process, and you learn from other people's experiences. And every time we put the band back together and add someone new to the band just gets better and better each time.
How'd you meet them originally?
Through personal networks. It starts through personal networks, who then, you build the work relationships. Then people go on and do different projects at different times, and you stay in touch with people you like working with. And if you like working with people, from my experience, you just end up finding your way back to the same people. One person on my team now in our finance group at NowVertical, we worked together years ago in another company. He's went on to a bunch of different, job experiences, and then came back 2 times with me.
That's really neat. And when you're pursuing all these ideas, how do you find time to also advise other companies? Do those come to you, or do you how do those pop up?
There's always these phone calls happen to me every week. I know a great startup, but the founder doesn't know how to raise capital, or the founder isn't a tech person, or the founder doesn't know really how to find and build a sales team. Whatever the challenge may be, my network, whether it be service providers like lawyers, accountants, other investors that we've co-invested in deals or partnered on deals, there's a lot of inbound stuff that comes away. And if I find projects out there in the wild, I'll reach out to the founders or the teams and see where I can be helpful if I like something. So, I find today, there's not a lot of time in a day to do all this stuff. But if I seem to find time to do this stuff. And just if it's important, you do it. We can all say we're busy, but we can find time to be helpful, and that's really what I want to be. I want to be helpful. And that's, as I get older, that seems to be a great kind of position.
And did you learn all these things from people who advised you earlier in your career?
I wasn't the type that had mentors and, advisors in my companies. I learned a lot of what I bring to the market today from pure sweat and grit and getting beat up in the trenches and failing.
Hmm.
I started my first company, when I was 20, and, sold that and did it, go grow, next thing, go grow. And then you have failures, and you have successes, and you have challenges, and you have lots of different things happen, and you end up just building a base of knowledge that you can't replicate through a school
Right.
or a mentor and one mentorship. It's a life learned.
And as you go through this experience with various companies, is it like from the day you build, or maybe even the day before the day you build, is it your intent to exit, or is it always your intent to hold on and just you got an offer you couldn't refuse?
As a builder, it's a great question. As a builder, which is what I consider myself to be, I, you know, the long term view, and, staying with the company for 40 years, it's tough to balance that because you want to build again.
Yeah.
As I get older, and the projects I'm working on now, especially with our NowVertical group company, I think I'm going to transition to want to be more connected to projects, and see them through, and not be focused on, how to exit and start the next thing.
Hmm.
And the advice I would give to younger founders is, build something great, create value for yourself, your customers, your employees, all the constituents in your business, and then find a home where it can grow, and move on to the next thing. If you're a builder, if
Hmm.
you're committed to the story, stick with it and see it through, and make it as big as you can get it.
Are there certain criteria that you have in mind that you feel like I brought this project as far as I can take it, or this is as far as I want to go on this company before you go to the next one?
I think what comes as well with experience is admitting when you've reached the end of your capabilities.
Hmm.
And your capabilities are critical to moving a business, or anything for that matter, a relationship, or, to the point of success. And the point of success is the different definition for each person, each company, if we're using that context. I personally look at it as, you've reached a real maturity level when you can say, I'm now at the point where I'm not the best person for the job. And I have a couple friends that have recently come to that conclusion for their companies. They've brought in outside CEOs, and I think that's a real mature,
Hmm.
special moment for a founder, and I respect that in a big way. And I would be, and as I mature and become, hopefully older and wiser, I will be able to make those decisions at the right time too.
Earlier, you mentioning that different people have different criteria for success. Do you have a definition of success you use for yourself?
I think in my world today, there's I am the CEO of a public company, so there's some metrics that matter. Your public markets care about your revenue and your profits,
Hmm.
and your forward-looking guidance. And the metrics to me, though, now outside of those financial metrics, are really driven by, am I having fun? Is the team unity there? Are we attracting great talent? Are we attracting great partners? Are we moving the needle? Are we doing notable things? That's what success,
Hmm.
that's what feels like success to me.
So I've checked out your website, but for the sake of our audience, can you give me a breakdown of what you're currently building at your current company?
Yeah, so the NowVertical group is a big data analytics consolidator. So we are buying assets globally, across the spectrum of that space, and bringing them together into one platform, and going to market as in unison to build the next kind of big scale player in the space, in the public markets. So that this is probably the most exciting project, because I get access to all these great startups, and different stage companies at different sizes, different points of their evolution, different measures of success. Most importantly, endless and abundance amounts of great talent.
Hmm.
And that talent then becomes part of the bigger group. The bigger group mission is to go to market as a whole, which in this instance, in this industry we're in, the group together means much more than all of us independently. So it's really it's cool because we're building a federation, and a federated model is really fun to be a part of, and you get so many different perspectives and personalities, especially as people are from all over the world.
So what about this current company that makes you so passionate versus the other ideas that bounce in your head? Like, what makes this the top idea that's worth executing on?
We've been executing on it, so it's kind of past the point of it's past the point of saying why this one versus next, because now we're knee deep in it. Why we chose this is the market. There's only a handful of big names in the market that are doing the level of data, big data transformation that we do, and the companies we've bought. So there's a humongous opportunity in the public market space to build the next big guy, and we believe our model can do it. We can do it a lot faster than the incumbents who have taken 20 plus years to build big stories. I also think the market itself, from the general customer market, data is big and messy, and now potentially dangerous for organizations. And organizations should be treating their data like any balance sheet item. Should be that important. They have checks and balances on their treasury. Why do you not have that on your data holdings? And we believe we're in the first inning of the opportunity. So with that in mind, that's why I think this is so significant.
Do you find that the if I hear you correctly, your strategy is to bring a lot of different teams together that are already working the same problem, build a united platform, and then offer that as a best piece of a variety of different components to build a better sum? Do you find challenges in merging all these teams together? Because a lot of these people may not have, working relationships that work well with larger groups or with different people.
We definitely do. Personalities, territorialism. There's lots of different issues, but I think people only sell to us or join the group because they believe in the federated mission, because they believe the group is going to have a better outcome than any of us doing it independently. Some people, the deals don't get done because they feel better or they have a better shot at doing it without that issue, right? So it's a design for a certain type of group of people at a certain time in their lives and a certain point in their enterprise. So it's not for everybody, but we find challenges. However, we've got a team internally. We've got our own in-house legal, our own in-house corporate development. We've got our own in-house technology. We've got a unique organizational structure that makes it a lot easier to see how they fit in. They can maintain their autonomy, but they get benefit of the group asset. So that's how we sell it, and it seems to go over very well.
When you're looking for a variety of opportunities to bring into the fold, what are some of the things you look for that makes you think a certain group or opportunity is a good fit, either for the technology or for the people?
Team first.
Okay.
Our company is being built, and the management of our company is being built from the teams that we're acquiring through the acquisition process. Second is great customer relationships, because we do software and services. So we look at the profile of users who use either the tech or using the services. Then the tech, will the tech integrate or be on a future basis, able to integrate into our platform so that our tech offering expands and becomes more valuable to our customer base. Fourth would be synergies. Are there synergies between one company's technology or service offering to the rest of the group's offering? So 1 + 1 = 7,
right,
in terms of what we can sell to a customer, and we see the benefit of that's already in place. So
what's the process look like, or how long does it take for a company that says yes, you want to join your company, to them being fully integrated and fully, or at least moderately productive as a unified group?
Yeah, moderately productive. We're able to pull this off now in 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
From getting the deal done, getting everyone aligned, getting everyone understood how they fit in the organization. Bigger deals, it's going to probably be, I'd say, that's a 60-90 day process. And then big companies that we're looking at, they may never be fully integrated. But we're open. Like we're open to what works best for that business for us to derive value.
Earlier, you're mentioning something that motivates you is being helpful. Was that always your mission, just to be helpful, or is that something you discovered like along the way?
No. When you're young, you're selfish, and I remember my first. Yeah, I remember my first business. It was, it was. You kind of feel like you eat what you kill, and you got to go out. It's a sales mindset. There's nothing that can stop you in your way. And in your 20s, there is nothing that would have stopped me to like my first business, which I was able to sell. There was nothing that was going to stop me on making that successful. As you get older and you got to deal with more, larger teams, larger risk, bringing investors into your company, you start to change the dynamics a bit. And those are, there's a lot more failure points. So there's a lot more risk, and there's a lot more things you can do right or wrong. Today you evolve, you learn from those things. And today it's, you have to have a more helpful mindset. You have to be, you have to give back to the community, your team, your family, whatever the world you're playing in. You have to be in a giving mindset if you want to have good outcomes. And it unfortunately takes some people a long time to learn that.
Do you struggle to find the balance between leading NowVertical, advising, and being a good family man? Because that sounds like a lot more than what most people can handle.
Yeah. So, no, it's a big struggle. Even the work from home thing, that COVID and the work from home thing has dramatically changed a lot of people's home lives. So you're home now, your kids have been home. Now my kids are back at school. I have a lot of activities I do with my children, so those are priorities, but it's a struggle to make everything happen. So it is a very difficult balance. You, like anything though, you have to prioritize and make that happen. Like any meeting in your calendar.
Right.
And I think the people who are successful at that make family time or their free time or their, physical activity or whatever they do a priority in their calendar and execute it.
I like that. And
those are what I see the successful people I look up to. That's how they live their lives.
I noticed that when I talk to a bunch of people on this show, I think there's something that all of them have is like a different superpower, something that they feel like sets them apart from other people, something that is easy for them that is challenging for most other people. What would you say your superpower is as the CEO?
That is a very good and hard question because, I think to be a good CEO, you need a few superpowers. And I think number one is thick skin. You need to be able to
definitely
put yourself out here and, have these conversations and have people comment and say, my superpower is if I have any, I am very passionate about the stories and the projects I'm involved in. And I focus on telling that story in a way that is easy to understand and accessible to all constituents, anybody. And that is a very important skill that a lot of young founders don't have naturally because you're not really born a natural storyteller. It's a very important skill, whether you're talking to a customer, you're talking to somebody you want to hire on your team. You have to be passionate and inspiring so that people want to join your mission. And I believe that through learned process, I do a very good job with that.
For the leaders within your company, what are some of the traits you look for that you think make them a good fit for that role?
we need a varied skill set on my team with the type of business we're in. And luckily with our model, we get all different types of people, all different walks of life, very successful multi-stage founders. We get new founders that are now, this will be their first exit.
Mm-hmm.
I want passion. I want care and consideration. I want motivation and a hard driving work ethic. Everybody that's in the team right now or on the team right now has those traits, and you don't need to question one's commitment
Mm-hmm.
or loyalty. They're there, they're here, they're pros. They could be anywhere they want and they're here. So that's enough.
Hmm. And as you build out your team, was it always your intent to acquire and bring into the fold multiple companies, or did you start off wanting to tackle this problem directly yourself and then realize it made more sense to work with others?
Yeah, it's always this particular project. The intent has always been to do a focused roll up in the space, just through and why, as I said, we had exposure to the first company that we acquired in terms of watching their evolution, and we were very interested in the market. We were able to learn through partnering and osmosis like why this is a good market, and that really motivated the go forward process here. But that quickly moved into, this isn't a one and done thing. There isn't another federated approach here. It's the competitive set are all a bunch of VC backed old school tech stories from Silicon Valley. There isn't a name that's just building and acquiring the small mid-sized guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the small mid-sized guys are where the best talent is, because they're all ex these companies that have said, I don't want to do this. I want to build my own thing.
How did you find your first customers, or did you work on expanding the customers of the companies you acquired from the very beginning?
This business is all about expanding what we've acquired.
Okay, I see.
So yeah, so right now the sales teams are all in the organizations that we acquire. So they bring, and again, that the NowVertical job is to take a customer in one of our units, and can we sell the other stuff to that customer?
I see.
And the success of these entities really, I think the metric is that idea coming to life.
So beyond the more obvious cross-selling opportunities, what are the other synergies that you feel are intuitive to you, such that 1 + 1 = 7?
We're really not focused on cutting staff unnecessarily or finding cost savings, but every organization we acquire has overlapping capability. The good news for the overlapping capability is the top company, NowVertical, doesn't really have expanded teams. So we build the teams from the teams there. So we really don't have to, focus on cuts, which in a lot of these models, consolidation models, there's a lot of cost synergy work and things that happen out of the gates. We're able to build still. In the future, things may change. We really do want our companies to be fiscally responsible. We want them to care about profits and building long enduring, sales driven organizations. So there are some things that matter that need to be addressed and worked on. Cost, outside of cost, one big area of synergy that we've done that is unique is our technology synergies. So the simple way is amalgamating everything to group level resources, one AWS instance, one Azure instance, et cetera. But there's also how we go to market. What's cool about our model is we've brought technology to the core of NowVertical and then make it available to all the entities. So we don't have every entity with their own technology teams doing their own thing. So we're able to share the cost into one group dev shop, one group innovation team. So the savings there and the efficiencies created there, and then the cross-selling benefit is immediate.
So when you take all these teams and put them together, and you take all these technologies and put them together, what would you say your 10-year vision for your company is?
The most robust, comprehensive data, big data, AI, ML platform that's in market.
Okay.
Better tools, better solutions against use cases than our competitive set. Our competitive set is going to be hamstrung by their ability, unless they change their model, to build through their own innovation layers, because they got to go materialize value in the current products they have. Similar to what IBM's done. IBM is a good example, though, at their stage in their history, where they've built these industry-oriented offerings through acquisition too. So, I believe we can be the next big, enduring software company, large cap, so that's built very quickly.
Okay. And the last question I have for you is, what's something you've learned in the past few years that you wish you learned a long, long time ago?
Well, I think in personal and business, just listen better. Be a better listener. We all want to jump on a point. We all want to jump, be the smartest person in the room. You have to be a listener.
When you think about listening, what are some skills in listening that you feel like are useful, things that even early stage entrepreneurs can apply?
Well, I think, the smartest people I interact with who are also great listeners, they listen, they are deliberately listening, they're waiting. And then at the end of the interaction, they have such great questions that will make, even if it's an argument, the question will, be something like, well, what's the evidence you have to substantiate, or a better one is, if I have evidence against, your argument, would you believe the same thing? A question like that. And that really
that's a tough question. That's a good question.
Yeah. It throws people off. Someone said that to me once, and I was like, no, that's a great question. It's a really great question that you kind of get caught off guard. And I think the smartest people who accomplish the most in a interpersonal relationship are able to kind of think like that. And I'm really working on trying to be a more, methodical listener, and trying really hard to do it. It's not easy.
What would you say the baby steps of becoming a better listener? Like, what are some of the action items that someone can take to become a better listener? I feel like communication is king is like one of those very common tropes, but how does one apply it in their day-to-day life, either as an entrepreneur or as not as an entrepreneur?
I asked an individual once who I consider to be one of the smartest people who listens, in a very amazing way. It's like a meditative state they go into. It really, they sit in these meetings and they sort of they look like they're zoned out. Their facial expression is neutral. So you don't know if they're into it, they're against it, but they're sitting there listening. Sometimes I saw, smart people that, I recognize as smart, at least, like are taking interesting notes or mind mapping things. But, this Zen meditative state allows them to absorb the information. Most information coming in a communication stream, especially in a work context, is, it's kind of bullshit. A lot of it. They're able to kind of decipher that and then get to the root of the point. And we as people drone on a lot to get, some of us don't get to the point. So that meditative state, they absorb more, they're able to, decipher more, get to the point, move to, a conclusion, get on with it. I respect that.
Okay. And, well, thanks for your time, Daren. I've enjoyed your insights as a serial entrepreneur. I just want to give you an opportunity for those who are in the crowd and just interested in following you along your journey. What's the best way for them to reach out to you or follow you personally?
Yeah, thanks. My personal website's DarenTrousdell.com, DarenTrousdell.com. My Twitter as well is at dtrous, DTROUS, and that's the best way to get at me.
Sounds good. And we'll make sure to have those links to the landing page so they don't need to manually peck at their keyboards. Well, thanks again for your time,
Awesome.
Daren. This has been great.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.